morning. It's good to see faces in the morning. We are the first torch bearer. And it was supposed to be an early session, but I guess this is as early as it can get in New Delhi, right? Braving the traffic. We are all here. It's again one of those sessions where I have my best mates and my favorite chefs on the dais. We do missed out on who did we miss out on? Chef Om, who is unwell and didn't make it today, but I'm sure we'll catch him in one of the sessions again. But thank you, Chef Vineet, Chef Mayank, and Chef Dhruv for making it. We speak otherwise also a lot outside the sessions, so we'll try and make it as friendly as one of those where the truth comes out and it's not one of those nicely polished statements like what we are expected or we generally say. So today's first session is a lot about what is affecting our lives, I think all our lives. We're talking about trends. We're talking about what does the customer want to eat. We as chefs are constantly on the giving end. Right? We're constantly giving whatever the customer wants. Okay, today the customer wants this, tomorrow the customer wants that. Accordingly, the sponsors want something else, and the sponsors want something different. So accordingly, the menu changes. It is not so much about seasonality anymore. It's not so much about what the chef thinks is correct anymore. It's purely about pleasing a person. I'm going to put this to Chef Manocha has been around in the industry for a while, senior most on the dais. Chef, is it really necessary to constantly look after customers' needs? Picky eaters, do they really know what they should be eating, or are they influenced by something where they are becoming picky? And is it all right to be picky, or is it the chef who should have the final say, this is what you should be eating and this is what is good for you? So I'm going to open it up with a little bit of a, like a reverse tone to the chat, and then we'll come back to the subject all over again. There you go, Chef.
Thank you so much, Chef Saby. Very interesting question. Good morning, everyone. What I would like to say here is that the customer is very smart. The customer knows what he wants to eat. But on the other hand, as chefs, it is very important for us to guide and create guidelines that what is good for the health of the customer, what is good for, if there is a combination which does not suit the health, it should not be put on the menus. But if the customer wants to eat that combination, you cannot stop him. So with growing, with growing information, you Google things and you get all the information available on your phone. So it is very easy for the customer to get to understand various ingredients, various cuisines, various terms that we use. But if the customer wants to try a combination, you cannot stop him.
Okay, so Chef says that he agrees to the first point. However, the customer is the best judge, as in the guest is the God, is how we speak in the industry. Today, on behalf of the guest, I would say that does the chef still need to put his or her foot down and say, I am your well-wisher, and I think this is what you should be eating. So this question over to you, Chef Dhruv. We're constantly eating high-protein diets. It's become a thing. You're the face of the young generation. You're pretty much what the youngsters are eating out of your hand, and so does a lot of us also, the senior ones. This protein, this need for having a high-protein diet. What was wrong with our dals and pulses and legumes? We've been eating for thousands of years in this country with dal, pulses, and legumes. What is the need of only eating chicken breasts as I'm not vindicating chicken breast, but today it seems like a protein diet is always about a chicken breast and avocados. So what is your thought on that, Chef?
First of all, thank you, Chef, for the question, and good morning, everyone. Chef, I think it's a marketing fad where I think people are constantly pushing everyone to eat just protein with chicken, but India as a country and we as whatever options we have a lot of options in terms of pulses, lentils, not only chicken, it can be fish, it can be meat. So I think the keto-friendly diet can be interesting. It's something the offering is very boring because the education is missing, whereas all the nutritionists, they divert the entire people who are into, for example, fashion, bodybuilding, etc. They just convert into just one meat, which is chicken. And we are a chicken-eating nation, so people don't mind that, which is actually a problem.
That's a nice one. We're a chicken-eating nation. I thought we were a khichdi-eating nation some point back because khichdi was made the national dish or something. Something similar happened. So we should have thrown in some chicken into that khichdi. At least North India would have enjoyed it. So Chef Mayank here, as in we've been colleagues in the past, and today he's probably feeding more number of people in this country than any other brand through his cinemas. How many outlets, Chef? Chef?
Morning, everyone. I think we go through about close to 12 to 13 crore people every year.
Wow, that's like a staggering number. I think you'll compete with Indian Railway and...
No, there are much bigger players as well
Yeah.
in the market. We may be in the top 5, 6.
That's already quite something, Chef. Can't even fathom how to feed 12 crore people in a year. So well done, Chef. Now, you have the power of feeding so many people. People come to your cinemas. Obviously, there was a time we only came for the movie, and today we come for the movie experience. And food and beverages become a big part of the movie experience. You also running these really fine restaurants attached to the theaters, which almost unheard of maybe back in the days in 60s, 70s in Calcutta, Globe and all had a cocktail bar and a canapé station and all. But you've kind of upgraded and brought it to a point where it's the best international food available at the theaters. Now, Chef, if I leave that part of it and if I talk about the mass food that this other, let's say 11, 12 crore people that are eating, is there a possibility that you can go away from whatever is trending and give something that you feel is clean, if something that is like we spoke about? I'm going to come back with the kachori thing back to Chef again, but let's say we spoke about including regional delights. You mentioned that samosas as one of the
Correct.
highest selling. Which are the other things that could we do to put our two little bits into it and make sure that whatever we are serving or eating is clean, healthy, and sustainable?
So I'm actually going to start with the comment that Chef Vineet made about the patron is very smart. The patron knows. So it's not about a patron being picky. It's about the patron knowing and being very smart about the decision of what they want to eat. Now, once we come to that realization, we also understand the fact that a lot of people now believe in a balanced diet than a protein or a very one ingredient rich diet and a small amounts of that. At the cinemas, we are continuously trying to provide both ends of the spectrum. If somebody wishes to indulge, as would sales show as well, but we also need to provide menu options where we actually bring nutritional aspects also into place. We were the first ones to introduce, globally, we are the only people who initiated with sushis at the cinemas. 7 years ago, this was unheard of, and now it contributes massively into the sales. We are working with specialized protein providers. We work with small-scale farmers rather than working with larger suppliers for that matter. So small steps, and I feel that in one of our previous discussions also we spoke about how sustainability has to be supported and the intent has to be supported with cooperation, and this cooperation comes when chefs of certain caliber and nature, they come together, organizations come together, and they set up these standards. So once you have these parameters on a very uniform platform, it will actually even out the market, even in terms of the raw produce that we intend to use.
Fantastic, Chef. So it's how the whole country is eating, and Chef Mayank is, with his experience and knowledge, is trying to create something that would make us healthy. So whenever we're at the cinemas next, we have, of course, an option of eating amazing food, at the same time feeling confident that we're eating something which is from small growers, small farmers, not necessarily always processed and refined as how we new, bulk food is to be. That's fantastic. We had a beautiful chat. We were sitting and having coffee. Very nice coffee, Copy Solutions, I think. And Chef Vineet mentioned about this. I'm going to request Chef to speak about it. There are a lot of times that we kind of cannibalize and say, okay, this is deep fried and this is something that is not cool and we should not be eating it. And over to Chef. Chef's mentioned a very beautiful subject, which is something very close to my heart because I often eat that same product in Jaipur and Rajasthan whenever I'm there. And so happy to hear that Chef is working towards making it into a mass national product. Over to you, Chef.
Thank you, Chef. So we have taken a conscious decision that we will not overwhelm. I mean, we feel food is celebration. Food has to be celebrated, it is, customer is the king. The guest has to make a choice what they want to eat. We will not, as a brand, we will not force health on the customer. If the customer or the guest, if they want to eat healthy food, they have a lot of choices available within our menu also, but we will not force health on the customer. So we have created a brand called the Kachori Story, celebrating India's kachoris, the best kachoris at one place. And we have recently launched this product, and we are getting excellent response. Kachori, somehow, we were just talking in the lounge that it has been getting a stepmotherly treatment. Everybody wants to sell samosas. Kachoris are available, but they are not brought to the forefront. So we have, we have made a conscious effort that we should promote this product, which is, in fact, very healthy, I would say. There is a quotient of protein available in terms of dal. There is fat available and it has been our traditional food for a very long time, the most important thing. Our society is used to eating kachoris and samosas for a very long time. So we have created a menu which revolves around the best kachoris of the nation, be it Kolkata Club Kachori or Delhi ki Cycle Wali Kachori or Bikaner ki Junia Maharaj ki Kachori. So we have everything available at one place. I will not keep on talking about the brand, but talking about the product. If I come back to health, we also have a Dr. Kachori.
That's a good one. So what is the recipe of the Dr. Kachori? The doctors eat it and stay healthy, or they prescribe it to the patients?
This kachori has been, it is developed for doctors. It has been specially curated for the doctors. There is a huge hospital in Bikaner where the doctors said that we want to reduce our portion size of kachori. Bikaneri people, being Bikaneri people, they cannot live without kachoris. So they have reduced the size of the kachori to 10 grams only. So you just reduce your craving, yeah, by eating 2 kachoris, which is reducing it down to 1/4 of a kachori, and you are satiated. So that is the Dr. Kachori.
This is amazing. There's so much innovation that can happen with our local regional food. I'm so happy at a forum like this. First thing in the morning, we're discussing kachori and samosa, which has been cannibalized completely. And today, whenever we go to a morning breakfast lounge, there is always an idli, which I'm still happy to see it. I hope it stays there. But it's largely now taken over by muesli, muffins, porridges, and all the other international food. Absolutely nothing wrong with it, but no harm giving the Indian options of nice kachori. The piyaz kachori happens to be my favorite. Whenever I'm in Rajasthan, I'm eating that. This time I was mentioning that I also ate that sweet kachori, which is filled with that mawa, and it's just absolutely delicious. Given a choice, I will eat that over any dessert with my coffee or whenever after a meal. So over to Chef Dhruv. Now, Chef, we are talking about mass food. we're talking about food that India wants to eat. Both Chef and Chef Mayank, they have a brand presence across footprints of 10 crore, 12 crore people. You, on the other end, at Olive, you're doing food for the top, maybe 5-10% of this country who can afford your meal, right? Like 10,000 bucks a meal or 20,000 bucks, specially plated and cooked by Chef Dhruv, 50,000 bucks a plate. So there are only few can afford that. So of course, you are an amazing chef, you're curating amazing menus, but these are also the opinion leaders who comes to your restaurants, right? The people who can afford or come to Olive, jokes apart, but also the opinion leaders of this country. What do they think is healthy? Do they think that they're eating this because it's healthy? Do they think they're eating it because it's trending, because they are also influenced by social media like everybody else? Or do they genuinely, because they're opinion leaders and educated, well-traveled, smart and intelligent, do they make their own choices when they choose your curated tasting menus or any of these? So give me that perspective of the top opinion leaders of this country.
Chef, surprisingly, it's a mix of both, to be very honest, at Olive, and it's very difficult to run a restaurant like that, especially in India. I think many of, the panelists will agree, because we Indians are fussy. It's much more easier to feed Europeans or Americans, but it's very difficult to feed an Indian. Because, of course, our palate is vast, because we have grown up, with such beautiful recipes in our houses. So, coming back to the people who come and dine at Olive, I think it's a huge responsibility on our shoulders, where we have to constantly educate them, but there should be a thin line between educating them and telling them, okay, this is good to eat. On the other hand, if you also have to create
And bringing in ingredients from across the length and breadth of the country to pair with international ingredients to run the finest, one of the finest, if not the finest in the country. So I would put this now back onto Chef Mayank. Chef, this trend, we keep using this word trend, and we keep blaming social media for this. Is it genuine? Is it genuinely what you think is right? That can we blame social media for everything that today is trending, or we believe is trending and we want to eat? Because we all have our own, ideology, thought processes. We all come back from family backgrounds, eating clean, healthy food, especially in India, right? 4,000-5,000 of, cooking history. How can 10 years of social media make us forget everything that is clean, that is healthy, that is sustainable, that is nutritionally dense? Because most of our food was very nutritionally dense, including the kachori that we just spoke about. And blindly follow a trend because it is what social media is telling. Can we blame everything to social media?
I feel social media is like a book. There are many ways people can interpret a certain piece of statement or information, and to each their own. And I feel that social media just broadens the perspective, and one can then choose to accept and agree as per their particular best knowledge. I feel that social media is bringing a lot of people together. They're connecting cultures as well. I feel social media has connected lost parts of our own culture and heritage at times. There is a lot that is now known, which perhaps was not the case, say, 2 decades ago. And it's a continuous journey. It does not need to be segmentized in a certain manner, and it will evolve as always. It's the nature of our own existence that we believe in evolution, and that's
Fantastic. Chef, hold that thought. I have a question for all three of you, and feel free to answer the way you like. I have noticed over the last 10 years, whatever we talk of trend in India of social media is largely about creating something very confusing, or atrangi, or unique, utpatang, whichever the way it could be a good word, it could be a bad word. I haven't seen, malab, I'm not the best judge or the most well-traveled, but I travel a little bit, all the way from Japan to Italy. Some of the finest cuisines of the world are Mediterranean, Italian, French, Japanese. I don't see them doing this kind of, for a want of a better word, like, let's say, strange, confused, fusion slash wanting to be different. Like, let's say an example, a chocolate golgappa. Is it It's a desperation. There's something of the finest panipuris are available in this country. Every region has one. What is the need of creating that? Or what is the need of bringing in an interesting dish like a sushi and put paneer tikka in it and fry it with, batter? What is the need of creating these kind of food when our culture, heritage, regionally, we have so much that biodiversity has given, Mother Nature has given, 5,000 years of history has given, and bring in the finest sushi, and please, let's eat it. Bring in the finest pasta. Let us not put dal in it. Like, I saw somewhere there's a dal tadka pasta happening.
Curry paste.
So things like that happening. All three of you, I have these questions to you because you're the most knowledgeable, people that in the business today. Is it necessary? Is it important? Do you support it? I know it is trending in social media, but should we be doing things like this? I feel it personally degrading our own cuisine. It's also confusing the best international food that Italian, Japanese, Chinese, and other cuisines are doing, the good work. And I also personally genuinely feel that maybe we're not proud of our own heritage, culture, history, and food, and hence there's a need of constantly bringing that, the thepla taco into the scene with paneer, what is that? Thepla taco with palak paneer. Why do we have to throw in the word taco into it? It could have just been thepla with palak paneer, right? So three of you, questions, Chef, over to you.
I'll start with this because I was in Lyon studying at Paul Bocuse, and at Lyon, there were 3 specific modules. There was classical French, there was Provençal, and there was contemporary. Now, I feel that they saw the need to basically make sure that you differentiate between the 3 categories. One is regional, one is the classical Lyonnais-style French cuisine, and then you have your contemporary. I think that's how I would indicate, there to be like a specific segregation, and then you make sure that there is due technique provided to a particular dish and ingredient to reach the final end result. How does that get segmentized or labeled is a much later discussion. I think the need for this kind of an understanding, a clear understanding, is rather important. This understanding at the level of the chefs as well as at the level of the end consumers, the moment that comes in, I think we're in a very good place.
I think it's a very good point, Chef. Didn't think of it. So you're saying categorization and certification of product, whether it is authentic or classical. Let's say classical is a better word than authentic. Then contemporary, as most cuisines now has created a segment, Japanese, French. Everybody has created the cuisine segment called contemporary. And maybe these dishes can come under the contemporary segment of, the progression of Indian food, and not necessarily should be everywhere. Very good point, Chef. Over to you, Dhruv. How do you take this constant challenge of reinventing, innovating, because the customer wants something different? What next are we going to put inside the pani puri?
Sure, it's a big need for all the restaurateurs and chefs that, they're constantly search for what people want, because as I mentioned that we Indians are fussy and we constantly look for something new. So that doesn't mean that you will bastardize any of the cuisine, sorry, whether it's Italian or Indian or any other cuisine. You always have to find that line between you bastardize that and where whatever you're doing should make sense. So for example, I'm going to give an example of my dish, what I have created at Olive, that we are trying to do something with burrata that I know that burrata going to taste extremely well, which is very classic, is the balsamic tomatoes, etc. So I might do something very similar to make it taste new, make it sound new, and make it fresh in a way. Rather than without thinking, I'm just putting burrata, for example, with things which doesn't make sense. So we need to find that balance. That needs a lot of study, that needs a lot of tasting, that needs a lot of R&D in that way, which is needed. Now, talking about the social media, I feel it's completely depend on the person to person. That, for example, if I'm searching everything food, I will get food. I will see food. If I'm going to look something with Bollywood, I will be seeing Bollywood. So I think it's a great tool. It's just we don't know how to utilize it, right? So I think Instagram algorithm is like that. Like whatever you're going to see, it will blast on your page. So you have to use that tool wisely.
Fantastic, Dhruv. Chef, so same thing to you, Chef, that we're constantly making this effort. Everybody says, oh, I'm putting my twist. I keep hearing these things from the chefs these days. I'm putting my twist, I'm doing my, innovation in it. there's this constant strong need for everybody to innovate and do something different. Whereas the French cuisine tells us that keep damn practicing the same lyonnaise. He mentioned Lyon, so it came to my mind. Fine-tune the proto lyonnaise and spend your entire life making the best. Same thing in Japanese. The mother cuisines of the world tells us that please fine-tune your skill, which I think large part of it was the Indian halwai cuisine, Maharajas. They spend their life fine-tuning that one kachori maybe, or the samosa, or that one dosa batter. Because I spend a lot of time in South, I see the intensity of people to get, the obsession of getting that one sambar right. Why are we losing on that, where that fineness of one sambar could be so much more important than creating a sambar with, let's say, I see today sambars coming with baby corn and cherry tomatoes because it's a luxury sambar. So I saw it in a hotel, I won't name it. But things like this happening, why is it happening? Well, is it necessary? Do we really need to do this? There was no cuisine in the world seeming to be doing it. Yes, like he mentioned, contemporary, so little bit of innovation comes in, chef's personal, but those are only happening at a 1 Michelin, 2 Michelin, 3 Michelin, not happening on a regular plate food across the good mother cuisines of the world. Why is this desperate need for us to do that?
Chef, I would be very blunt. In this age of social media, there is so much of pressure on the chefs that to create, when the term trend, when it starts trending, yeah, there is a FOMO that happens with the chefs, and all these things are non-practiced, non-thought of, unthought of, and just done for the sake of doing it.
Right.
So that is what is happening, and especially in the mass market segment. You very rightly said that, there are contemporary dishes created, there are various combinations which are practiced, but that is a time-consuming, time-taking process. Just doing for the sake of it is not right at all, and that is how you get thepla with the
taco.
The taco. Yeah, and sambar with cherry tomatoes.
Chef, there's no other profession in the world. If you have to create a new tal or a bowl, you have to practice. You have to know the basics really well. Play that instrument maybe for 20, 30 years to come up with a new tal or a bowl, and then you were like the grandmaster of that particular art. Be it in tabla, be it in sharad, be it in sitar. Same in, let's say, any other discipline of athletics or cricket. You to invent one shot, you've spent 20 years in the cricket field to have invented. In food and culinary, every chef who has joined the industry or not even started, with due respect to home chefs, master chefs, and every chef who's in the profession today wearing a jacket, says, I've innovated, or I've created, or this is my twist. I have a thing that this whole thing of creating something needs to be backed up with some research, with thorough knowledge of ingredients and produce, with knowledge of feeding the same recipe over a few years and seeing how people's health and nutrition, gets affected, and has to be definitely supported by a lot of practice and research. It can't be suddenly I wake up with some idea, and somewhere we have to draw this line is what I feel. I think we can now open up the floor. I don't know how much we're doing on the time, but we can open the floor and take some questions. We have an extremely knowledgeable panel here. We have had a fruitful discussion. I hope we have been able to throw some light. Yes, sir, over to you. We can have a mic here.
All right, you can raise your hand if you have a question. Ma'am,
can
you
pass
please
on my
pass the
mic.
mic there?
I see a chef with a chef hat walking towards you with a mic. That's the best that can happen. Thank you, chef.
Thank you. My name is Ish Manan, and we are the supplier to a lot of restaurants and hotel industry for many products. So my question is to Chef Vineet. So you said that you have come up with a brand by Kachori Story, probably?
The Kachori Story, yes.
The Kachori Story, yes. So basically, when we are thinking about the street food, like kachori, samosas, all the traditional names comes to the mind, not the branded ones. Go to Chandni Chowk or somewhere else also. So what was the thought process behind creating a Kachori Story for a food which is considered to be a normally a street food actually. So there are certain set of customers who are going to Bikaji every morning, Sunday or Saturday, because they want to eat baturas there or similar products because it is of the hygiene thing. And people go to other places for these things. So do you think that you are attracting the customer who are going to the street food, coming to your place just to have either swadist kachori, hygiene, or probably else?
Tricky one.
No, so just to get your question right, I hope I've understood it well. You are talking about the name, the Kachori Story, and why Kachori Story, the English term.
Yeah, so maybe, we're
Right.
thinking, I'm going to the place because I will have a multiple different kind of kachoris available,
Ji.
or else also. So, I mean, why should I go there?
So because it is, I feel it is very focused and it is targeted to the TG is youngsters. Yeah, those who understand the stories and those who know. We could have invented a new term for kachori, which we did not. Yeah, so we stuck to the age-old traditional word kachori and attach stories to it.
Another small question that you have created Dr. Kachori also, you said, right?
No, we haven't created. It was already present in the market. We have just put it in the menu.
Put it into the menu itself. So instead of miniature signature malt, so now we have a miniature kachori also.
Ji.
Thank you so much,
I
sir.
think it's
Thank
damn
you.
unique, Dr. Kachori. There, we have a hand there. Sir, so are you a doctor? Do you want the recipe of the Dr. Kachori or? No. Just want the kachori, right? Okay, go ahead. Archie, you have a question.
Any of the chefs can answer this question. What do you think about Indian beverages? I think it's underplayed, and I think we have a lot potential to portray it abroad, or even the food.
I think both can answer it in different perspectives. I would like Dhruv, because he keeps doing this bar takeovers, which obviously has a lot of Indian stuff in it. And then Chef is doing a lot of beverage at the movies. So anything else
In perspective, I would say filter coffee, because see, we look at espressos, cappuccinos, lattes back in India. But if you look at this year, filter coffee was rated #1 in the world. But we itself are not promoting it big. What are your thoughts in?
So I think we are so carried away with social media, which is also, which is a plus and which is also a minus. So we need to take pride in serving all things Indian, though there's a lot of potential, where we can focus on Indian beverages. Not only coffee, but we have so many things. For example, I haven't seen chas serving, we don't serve chas in a cafe. We don't serve kanji in a cafe. There's so many beverages from every state, so that need to be put on to the beverage map, or what we call the culinary map. So yeah, there's a lot of potential, but we don't take pride of serving that because we are so carried away with cappuccinos and the espressos and the flatovers of the world that we feel little degraded by serving anything which is from our own country.
Jain Shikanji, maybe, Chef?
Jain chicken, yes.
So, that's what I think it's where it is boiling down to, that we are not proud of our own heritage culture, and we want to attach a nomenclature before and after which has something English or something Japanese or something contemporary to make us feel cool. Yes, Chef, the same.
Same question. I feel when you come to a high volume segment like the cinemas, the quality of the product is paramount. Also, what's the available audience? Like, is filter coffee something that will be preferred by a certain geography, or is it something which will find similar acceptability in, say, Punjab or Bihar or Chhattisgarh for that matter? Scalability and consistency is really important. To have a uniform experience and a superlative experience, both go hand in hand. So I think that's what I would like to add.
I think it's very
Also,
important because know your target audience.
I want
Go
to
ahead,
add
Chef.
one more thing. It's also the expertise. For example, cappuccino is like you get it from a button, whereas filter coffee is an art. That's something which we need to practice. That's for a lot of restaurants. They fear to add things like that because they one, of course, they think it will not sell. Second, they don't have expertise to do that in that particular fashion.
I think that's the perfect forum here to speak about it, that we need technology, and Franchise India, Restaurant India is the best forum, platform to discuss this. That absolutely well brought out that, if there is a equipment which we could produce, we have a hand this side. The high quality filter coffee that you will probably get at the Chennai bus stop, the meter copy style, I would love to drink one. But somehow, Chef did mention about it, this brand filter coffee. But let's take another question, I think. Yes, sir.
Follow-up question, one quick doubt here.
Go ahead, sir. While this mic reaches here, you can still speak.
What, assuming that we're moving towards technology and you get a good decoction and your team just has to add milk to it, would that work for y'all?
Sorry, say again?
What if you get a consistent decoction to which the staff or your team just adds milk to it? Would that work for y'all?
Definitely. I think that's more of an infrastructural discussion. Yes, the solution seems doable. Kothas, I think, is doing something similar. A lot of the lounges have got the filter coffee on the Kothas machine now, which is quite acceptable. Yes, sir.
Boiling down to social media. See, there is this insidious tribe I called the influencers, who 99% of the time don't know what they're talking about. How are you chefs resisting them or plan to resist them? Because they are ruining food. They've ruined food altogether so far. Now they're into hotels. They're ruining hotels. It's getting out of hand. So in terms of food, how are you chefs going to resist this tribe?
I'll actually just start with the fact that there's a specific science involved behind both understanding how your menu is performing and how the ingredient behaves in certain temperatures, fat conditions, etc., etc. So keeping that in mind, it just makes us more focused on how is it that we need to approach it.
I like how Chef tried to answer that question from the other spectrum or the side, then getting onto the, we have been partial agreement with you. I think we're out of our time, or do we?
Just one last question, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to answer the influencer thing, because I know it's such a thing with all the restaurants.
Should we get this guy on a phone call, Apna Om? And he can come onto the screen and he can answer this question better from home, because we don't want things to be thrown at you.
Yeah. So I feel we need to choose influencers, in that way. As I mentioned before, your algorithm of Instagram is in such way that if you follow certain person, that kind of a content will show on your page. And as a brand, you need to choose. There are 100 influencers out there, and there are very few who are genuine also. Because of those 90% people who are not genuine and they are doing bullish stuff or whatever they're doing out there, it doesn't mean that 10% is not right. So they are doing the right thing. It's just we need to choose them in a way that that's good for brand or that's bad for brand.
Chef, did you say bullshit or bullish?
In fact, both, Chef. They bully a lot of us as well.
Everybody is soft peddling it. Nobody's really getting into subject. I think it's another subject for another time, and there have to be a bold forum. Maybe we can ask Ritu that in the next year we will take this up, and I definitely am not going to moderate that, or post that I won't have another session to moderate if I do moderate. Last question, sir, over to you.
Hi, my question is to Chef Vineet. Hello, sir. So my name is Chirayu, and I have a brand called Poha Planet. So now Bikaji has started the Kachori story. So the reason I started Poha Planet was that in the past 5 years, we've seen modernization of the Indian street food. Like we see vada pav, we see chai, we see biryani. They were all last page or bottom line items in the menu, let's say 5 years ago. And today they are becoming a brand in themselves. So how do you see this growing further? Like we see today McDonald's, Pizza Hut, all making paneer makhni burgers and paneer makhni pizzas. So how do you see, the Indian story going forward? And second, we were just discussing before this about the beverages, the Indian beverages. You guys were talking about coffee or say chai, but I think Indian beverages are much more beyond that, like say kokum sharbat or pethe ka phal, jaisa ashgard juice. So, there are much more things beyond tea and coffee, which are yet to be explored. So overall, the question that how do you see the Indian food going global? And do you see a thing like kachori become as big as a McD, like say worldwide a phenomenon? Do you see that happening over the next 5 to 10 years?
First of all, congratulations to you. You've
you.
thought of a good product and
Thank you.
created a good brand. I've experienced that brand and congratulations to you.
Thank
But
you, sir.
coming back to the Indian food story, I would say there are so many things, as I mentioned earlier also, that we are just following the trends. If we just start looking back at 2 generations back as to what our grandparents were eating, yeah, we will get a full recipe book of products. Yeah, so our cuisine is such deep and such traditional. I mean, it is traditional. When we say traditional, it has become a cuss word, I would say. So let us make traditional modern, yeah, and create new things, practice new things, just research on our own cuisine. There is, as rightly mentioned, there are so many Indian beverages available, kokum sharbat. We have introduced bela ka sharbat, jasmine flower ka sharbat.
Yes.
Yeah, so there are so many Indian ingredients available which can be experimented with and which can be with Indian cooking methods. We can create wonders. We just have to practice, think, and devote time to whatever we are doing.
So just one small thing. I was discussing this with somebody earlier. We generally have a block, like Indians have a block in their mind that we cannot pay more than say 50 rupees, 60 rupees for a kachori. But for a burger, we are ready to pay 300 rupees. So how do you think going forward that mindset can be changed, or will it change in the near future?
Start with 50, 60 rupees and then keep on creating a value to that 50, 60 rupees. I'm sure with good marketing and good product, we will reach at 300 also one day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chef.